1.2 part 3. Okay, so we left off on volume, which we have this open volume, and this is to imply water, by the way. Then mass, we want to get into, it's solid. Okay, just think about solid pieces. Stone is our usual go-to for massive forms. So we're going to look at a really beautiful Olmec carving out of basalt, which is a volcanic stone, soft in terms of density for carving, but it has some kind of open spaces. There was some air during the volcanic eruption, whenever this was, and this was found and moved and then carved. There were 3 of these heads in this area, but there are many of these. And they're very massive and solid, beautiful pieces carved with lots of nice details. So this is our example for mass. Monumental work meant to impress and overwhelm. And again, this is a sculpture in the round. It's also a monumental sculpture. That's another sort of category. Rachel White-Read, one of my all-time favorites. I think this work is so brilliant. What she does is she goes and fills open volumes like a house. This was a real house in London, and it was going to be knocked down. And so no one owned it or whatever, sold it to her, I'm not sure. So she pours concrete into all the rooms. So this was the street level, just the regular street level with the steps and so on. And she fills the entire thing up with concrete, like probably does the bottom floor first, fills it through a hole in the ceiling from the top floor, fills that full of concrete, lets that set up, then fills this full of concrete from there, and then gets on top and fills that full of concrete. Goes all the way out to the windows and leaves an impression of the house. Then the wood of the house is torn off and cleaned away, and you have what the interior of a house looks like. So we have massiveness where there was no massiveness. We had a hollow volume of the house, and now we have a mass where that house was. So this is dense, solid, thick concrete where a house used to be. And I think the wood between the floors, you can't see it very well, is right there. Some of these are in museums. They're really cool. They're just huge and massive. I don't know all the details on how she moves them around, but they're just amazing. So weight and solidity, and a memorial from the people who used to live in it. And you'll have to look back in the book on details on that, and perhaps Google. I don't know if we have that much on it. Okay, another work that has massiveness. Now this is a piece that is a cast bronze. Now bronzes are sometimes solid and sometimes they are hollow, depending on the size and where they're going to be placed. A few different things determine that. And bronze, this looks very silvery, I know, but you can patina a bronze in different colors or could have a nickel silver coating on it. I do not know. But at any rate, this is Father Damien, and this is in the round because we can walk around it. This is a public art piece. This is outside the Capitol building in Honolulu, Hawaii. Famous priest that lived on the Leper Island in Molokai in Hawaii. That island is still not very well populated, but for quite a time it was a leper colony, and he died of leprosy himself. Anyway, so Marisol, this famous artist, she does these beautiful figures in this stylized way, and we see these rigid buttons and some nice geometric shapes for this coat. It's interesting the way she transforms that. So we have some organic shapes, a lot of geometric, and yeah, that's mass. I think we have one last one. Oh no, we're going on to texture. Our texture for the idea that when you're touching something, I had one student really explain that texture is a pattern you can feel. And I thought that was so great, and I kept that somewhere. I don't think I have it anymore, but I think that's really great. Like, it's something you can feel. A lot of things in the world really look like they have a texture, and then they actually don't. Things can seem soft, and they aren't. Like the book makes a comparison to cactus. Some things have that soft look to it, but then you touch it and those little prickles come off. So there's a funny thing when we actually touch work and what actually is there versus what is not, and we'll get into that a little bit. But you want to think of it as a tactile sensation, and a smooth surface can be a texture. You can always remind me of that, because sometimes I struggle with that. I like depth texture. So Anish Kapoor, really great, fantastic artist. This is one of his most well-known works, where this is kind of a bean shape. This is called the Cloud Gate, and it's a bunch of stainless steel segments, which you can kind of see here, polished to a high mirror finish. So it's super, super smooth. Okay, it's got a reflective quality. People love this thing. They interact with it all the time, as you can see. But it also kind of shows weather patterns, cloud patterns. People just love this thing. So it's a mirror, so it's smooth, super smooth. Oh yes, organic form. I forgot to mention that, from Chicago. Okay, another form that is actually building, in this case, the Guggenheim in now, Gehry also did the Disney Hall in downtown LA. Some of you may have seen that. That's a really just splendid building, and it's kind of on the top of a hill. It's literally on Hill Street, I believe, and it's got a really nice quality with the sky and the trees and everything around it. So anyway, these are organic forms, and some different shapes that we see here. And he achieved this by using a computer. Now, when architects are using computers more, and this was built in 97, of course it was planned much earlier, they can come up with some much more inventive forms. And so undulating surfaces and complex shapes. So it looks kind of like a huge boat, and it's combining geometric and organic forms. Louis Bourgeois, which is actually a piece in front of the Bilbao. There's several of these spiders. They're called Maman, and they're to do with her own personal mythology about motherhood. Her own mom, she's French originally, died in New York not that long ago. She was busy in her 90s. At any rate, this is a bronze piece. It has volume, but it has no mass, right? You can walk underneath it. And this is also in an organic form. It is also in the round, and it is also monumental. So we have a contrast here between the open volume of Maman and the solidity of the building. Okay, subversive texture, which is kind of interesting, is contradicting our tactile experience. So there's a lot of knowns in our mind about what things should look like, and the surrealists like to sort of mess with that a little bit. So in this case, Merritt Oppenheim puts fur where there would be china. Actually, I think the fur is just sitting on top of the china, quite literally, and the spoon, which is, silver or steel or something. But this is a surrealist sort of mechanism for toying with your experience of the world, your subconscious, and making it like a dreamlike quality. Okay, so it's the logical experience of the viewer is contradicting that. Okay, thinking about our tactile memory, because we have a lot of things that we assume because of all the experience that we have. Lots of other fun videos, and I think that's it.